Can you review the Nurecover Sauna Plus? Sure, but let's check out the Pro instead. That's right, guys. Nurecover has just released an all-new lineup of dry heat saunas, and they look super promising so far. So in this video, I'm going to cover all the specs and features of the Sauna Pro. Now, full disclosure, guys, I actually reached out to Nurecover myself and asked them if they would send me the Sauna Pro. So in a way, it's sponsored in that sense. However, just like every video I produce on this channel, I try to be very objective about the information that I provide to you guys so that you can make a more informed decision if you decide to go forth and purchase one. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the specs and the features. Okay, so as I just mentioned, the Sauna Pro is actually the mid-tier sauna of their new lineup. They do have a Sauna Go and a Sauna Plus as well, and each one is of varying sizes. So the Sauna Go is a smaller version that you can sit down in. This one you can actually stand up in, which is really nice. And then the Sauna Plus is actually a two-person sauna, which would be really interesting to take a look at. It actually includes 2 heaters as well, so I imagine it'd actually get quite a bit hotter than this one even. But we'll test that here just a little bit later. So if you are familiar with Nurecover's old steam saunas, you might look at this one and think it's exactly the same, but they've actually made some notable improvements to this. So unlike the old design that was more of a pentagon shape, 5-sided, this one is now octagon shape, and that's a really good thing because it offers much more room inside. So as far as measurements go, it's 73 inches tall. From front to back, it's 36 inches, and then from side to side, it's 42 inches wide. So a significant amount of room inside, and it's very noticeable. Another notable improvement that they made, and I'm very pleased to say, is that they have abandoned the PVC poles that they had before, and they now have stainless steel poles that are wrapped within this like foam material right here so that you don't get burned. But the overall structure of it is much more durable and stable. I mean, it doesn't flex like it used to, and so that's something very nice to see. Now, if we come inside here, I want to point out a few other features. First of all, the floor is now waterproof, so it makes for very easy cleanup. And then right here, the star of the show is the ThermaCore heater that they have. So it's pretty basic. It has an on and off switch and adjustments for the temperature and the time only. Of course, this is a carbon ceramic heater, and so it's supposed to heat up to about 185 degrees, and it consumes 1,500 watts. As before, Nurecover has included the red light rope, which you can kind of set up any way that you like. It has these little fasteners right there, so you can clip it on however you like. And it is operated by 4 AA batteries. Of course, I don't want to forget that they now include this really cool thermometer, so it can show you exactly how hot it is inside, and it will actually show you how much humidity is inside as well. And the very last thing I want to point out, which is really the most obvious, is the fact that Nurecover has now replaced that small window with a huge window that spans the entire length of the sauna itself. Now, before I get too many people immediately hopping down to the comment section talking about the off-gassing of the plastic from the window right here, let's just talk about that for a second. So according to the information provided on the website, because they actually specifically addressed this question of what the material of this is made from, it is actually, according to the website, it says it's an industrial grade PEEK. It's a polyether ether ketone, a very strong and heat-proof material. Continuous temps up to 482 to 500 degrees without any significant degradation. The melting point is like 649 degrees Fahrenheit. Thermal decomposition and fume release begins at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And so all that just to say that this material right here, it is made for this particular sauna. It's not going to degrade on you, off gas, melt, anything like that. It is designed for this particular product. So yeah, it's really nice to see that Nurecover is being very proactive about the safety of the product, but also as far as the quality of the product, this one is definitely better than what they had before. Okay, I don't want to bore you guys with all the specs and the features anymore. Let's go ahead and get to the fun part, and that is actually trying this thing out. I want to see how hot does it actually get, how it feels inside, see if there's any sort of off-gassing, anything weird like that. This will be my very first time trying it out, so hopefully I can give you a good, honest opinion about it. Let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. All right, so coming in here, we are going to turn it on, and all you have to do is just hit this power button right there. So we'll set this for about an hour. But what's interesting is this is supposed to get up to 185 degrees. However, the heater is actually limited to 158 degrees. So we're gonna let this heat up, and we'll check to see how hot it actually gets. Maybe it can go higher than that. If it doesn't, that'd be a little disappointing, but let's try it out. And just for quick reference, let's check the thermometer. Starting off, it is about 90 degrees in here. So, I mean, it's pretty hot out here. So we'll start there. And I'll go ahead and just do a stopwatch real quick. Okay, so it's been about 24 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead, hop in. Let's see what this is like. I'll try to do this fast. Don't let out any heat. All right, now the very first thing I want to check is the temperature that what this is reading. So just 160, about 162. And I can't tell you, it definitely feels hot in here. All right, so just kind of first impressions here. I've only been in for like 30 seconds, but the fact that there is a ton of room in here, which is really nice because a lot of these portable saunas, you know, the Sauna Box, the Nurecover, a few of the others out there were all kind of the same size. Not too small necessarily, but this is definitely very spacious in here. So that's kind of a nice thing. You definitely don't feel claustrophobic, anything like that. However, with Nurecover, there is one thing that I hate that they continue to include with all their saunas, and that is this little guy right here. They keep including the same chair. It is so small. I hate it. Yeah, so this chair, I mean, it's so small and you sit so far down in the side of the sauna that I imagine you're actually gonna miss out on a lot of the benefits because most, as you know, I mean, heat does rise. And so, you know, having like a wood stool, something like that would be ideal for sure. I also just want to take a second to talk about the placement of the heater itself. Now, there are no explicit instructions as to where you're supposed to put the heater. I know with the literature, as far as the pictures go, it shows you attaching the heater right here. And that kind of makes sense but I figured since heat does rise, I would put it a little bit lower, a little closer to the ground, a little closer to actually to this little port right there. That lets in fresh air, so I figure it could actually suck in the air right there. So I put it a little lower just so you could feel there's more even distribution of heat all throughout. Okay guys, so it's been about 5 minutes since I've been in here. I am definitely starting to see signs of sweat for sure. But you know, as far as the temp getting up to 185, honestly, I don't think it's gonna get there. But before you get too upset about that, because I know a lot of people get very particular about the temperature of the sauna, it definitely feels hot in here for sure. And you have to understand, if you look at a lot of the literature out there, there's tons of studies, you know, that say, you know, that there's varying temperatures that are super beneficial. You know, you could have a sauna at 150 and it have a whole lot of health benefits to it. So, you know, having to be super extreme in temperature isn't always the best thing. So kind of keep that in mind. I'm still going to give this another 15, 20 minutes or so, stay in here and just kind of see how I feel overall. So far, it's pretty good. I think because this is the very first time, there's a slight, just an ever so slight kind of hint of not maybe a chemical smell a little bit, or maybe just some off-gassing. It's really not too bad. I don't feel nauseous, dizzy, anything like that, but I definitely smell a little bit of something. And so we'll see if that progressively gets worse. I have found in the past that generally just gets better, like it diminishes completely. This being the very first time, not too surprised that would be the case. All right, sorry to get a close-up, guys, but there it is. We got sweat developing. All right, now it's been about 10 minutes, and I've decided in the last couple of minutes just to go ahead and stand up. And I can't emphasize that enough, that I love the fact that you have so much room in the sauna. I mean, I'm actually like walking around, I mean, just by a couple of feet. But, you know, the point is it's very spacious, and it's kind of nice. You know, definitely sweating. You can see the sweat going on right there. And it still feels pretty good. Starting to see some of the carnage here on the floor. As I mentioned, this floor is waterproof, so after you're done using it, you can use any sort of plant-based cleaner, anything like that. Just wipe it down, clean this up. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, and it is definitely hot in here. I can feel my heart rate starting to pump pretty fast right at this point. I'm sweating like crazy. And I was a little skeptical as far as the temperature. I was afraid that maybe it wouldn't get hot enough, and it's still hovering around about 160 or so up there, according to that. But that's actually okay. It's okay so far. Now, a few pros and cons. These are just a few observations that I've had while I've been setting this up and everything. First of all, like I said, the size of it is great. The construction is good. I really like it. I love the fact that they use these new poles. For sure. I think the heater is working really well. And it's just kind of nice that compared to the steam saunas, you don't have to worry about so much about, you know, water and evaporation and, you know, having to wipe down the walls, things like that. You just won't have to do that in here. You'll just have to keep wipe down the floor, open up the door, and that's pretty much it. So as far as maintenance, it's going to be a lot easier. Now, a few cons. Number one, the chair. Nurecover, please get rid of the chair. It's horrible. I mean, I'm using it right now and it's still effective, but it's very, very small. As I said, if you got a stool or something like that, like a wooden stool, and you could sit higher, man, that'd be perfect. The other thing is the red light. Now, it is battery operated. Guys, I got to tell you, it's probably not doing a whole lot. It's just adding ambiance. It has a cool vibe in here, but I don't think the red light does a whole lot. So that would be kind of a miss. And that's kind of the case for a lot of the red lights that are out there. But besides that, I think that this is doing exactly what you want it to do. I mean, it's elevating your core temperature, you're sweating. I feel like as far as a portable sauna, this is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It has been 20 minutes. I am getting out of here. This is super hot. Am I sweating? I do believe I am. Okay, so that being my very first time, wow, that was a really positive experience, I think, overall. When I go in these saunas, you know, there's a few things I look for. I look to see, like, you know, am I actually sweating? Is my heart rate, is it getting elevated? You know, do I feel like it's actually straining my system a little bit? And I can honestly say that, yeah, I was definitely feeling that in this one for sure. At around 160 degrees. So in my mind, even though it can't hit that extreme temperature, it's definitely very effective. Now, if you're going on to their website and you're trying to figure out whether to go with the steam version or this dry heat version, from my experience, I would probably actually opt for this dry version right here. I really liked it a lot. And as I'd mentioned, it's just gonna be a lot less maintenance overall. It might cost a little bit more money, but I think in long term, you'll probably come to appreciate this one a lot more. Now, I know I'm going to get this question from somebody. They're going to say, do I feel like this is worth it? And I kind of hate that question because it's very subjective. You know, you don't want my opinion. You want objective information so you can make up your own mind. And hopefully I provided a lot of that to you. Now, if we're just comparing this to some of the other saunas out there, you have, of course, the steam saunas. Those run you about $350. You have the other ones like the Sauna Pod from the Pod Company, which is about $800. And then, of course, you have this one, which right now is listed at $550. And to be honest, I feel like at that price, it's not cheap, but comparing it to what else is available, I think it's actually a pretty dang good option for you. So again, you know, consider all the information to see if it's going to be worth it to you. But I do think that this is a good competitor. All right, guys, so there you have it. That is your very first look at the Nurecover Sauna Pro. Now, if you guys have any questions or comments, if I left out any kind of information, please leave some comments down below. I really appreciate that. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button as well. Now, there is a 10% off discount code listed in the description. If you are inclined to buy this, it helps support the channel by you doing that at no extra cost to you. But I appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.